All right, everyone. Welcome to this episode of the Peaking Podcast. We have Mazarine Treyz with us. She is an author, a podcaster, an entrepreneur, a founder, a trainer, many other things, all around awesome human. And I'm very excited for this fun conversation. And she has some really cool things coming up. So I'm excited to learn about them and then also have you get involved and enjoy and learn as well. So Mazarine, thank you so much for joining us, and would love to hear about who you are and share for our listeners.
Sure. How far back do you want me to go? Or shall I just say what happens right now?
Well, I think we have a lot of people in the business community. So understanding your background as far as it goes from a founder, multiple business owner, I think that stuff's really cool and very valuable.
Sure. Okay. Let's see. I started my business actually a very long time ago, and then I kind of went and worked for other people for a while, but I was doing kind of like fundraising consulting because I worked in a baby orphanage in Jakarta, and I also worked in some mobile health clinics there in Indonesia. And I saw that people really needed clean water, and I thought, gosh, how can we help them get that? And then, in my own night, I was like, oh, fundraising, that should work, right? So I went deep into the nonprofit sector. I co-founded a nonprofit. I worked for different nonprofits as a fundraiser for a while, and then I went out on my own and did my own consulting business. So I taught people how to fundraise, and I also fundraised for them. And over time, I did about 15 online conferences, and I published 10 courses that had like accreditation at colleges, and also 3 books. And in that time, I also did my own
Wow.
podcast as well, the Asking for More podcast and the Name It podcast. And so now what I do is I get to help redistribute the wealth through government contracting. So that's how I see my role, and just helping small business owners get government contracts. And I've gotten them since 2012 when I lived in Austin. Now I live in Portland. Yeah, and I am helping through a variety of programs, helping small businesses get government contracts. I get paid by the government to teach people how to get government contracts.
That is very cool.
Yeah.
Nice. A lot to unpack there. I mean, just going back from your experience, what are some of the big takeaways for yourself and going through your journey? Things that are positive, things that are challenging, things that you wish you may have done differently.
For government contracting or entrepreneurship in general?
Entrepreneurship in general.
I'd say embrace the magical power of quitting and failure. And I'm actually going to be speaking at ThriveCon, which is going to be in Vancouver in October, about that. I think we have this sort of like cognitive bias called the sunk cost fallacy, where we believe that if we've just done something for a long time, we have to keep doing it, or we're a failure if we don't keep doing it. And neither of those things is true, really.
Mm.
That's why people stay in bad marriages, or, why they stay with a business that really isn't working for them anymore. Like, even if it's making money, it could just be like, I don't like doing this anymore, you know?
Yeah.
So every year since my business started, I've made like a failures blog post, or practically every year. So I really love to share my failures with people. We can certainly link that blog post as well. I have like them all listed by year. I think that people learn more from their failures than from their successes. And I know that for a lot of founders, that like when they looked to get investors, they saw that investors wouldn't invest in them unless they already had a failure under their belt. So that's just something to think about, like for people, is to think of like all the times that you failed and think of that as simply another way for you to learn. I know it sounds trite, but it's true. Like maybe you've never made a mistake in your life, or maybe it was just you had to learn.
Yeah. What would you say were some of your greatest failures that are worth you would, talking about and wanting to bring up?
I love talking about my failures. Let me
Okay.
tell you, I'm going to be talking about it at ThriveCon in October, but also I'll be talking about it, if you want to just chat with me right now. So, one of my favorite failures is, so that's kind of like an oxymoron, I guess, but I bought like LinkedIn ads, Google inbox ads for Gmail, and I also bought Facebook ads, and they were all a humongous waste of money for my online conference that I was promoting at the time. And it was like lots of money, like it was like $300 or $400 a ticket or whatever it was. But I was just like, this isn't giving me a return on investment at all. I even hired a consultant to help me with the Facebook ads, and I barely broke even on that. So I would say, don't put your money in online advertising. Far more important is to go back to the people that you already know and ask for referrals. I've seen that work for more small business owners than anything else. So if anyone tells you the secret is in online marketing, As someone who's written a book about social media, I would encourage you to question that.
Yeah.
Dig deeper, right? Who does it work for? Why did it work for them? Who says it works? Oh, is it someone who's selling a course about how to do it? Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what
It
I
is
mean?
interesting. It is interesting. I have fallen to the same things, and it's funny. I didn't necessarily think it was a failure. I was just like, all right, that didn't work, and I just kind of kept going forward.
Yeah, what are your failures? Would you like to share about a failure you had?
Oh man, well, I think that is a good. I like that turnaround. I would say as a business owner starting up, I worked for a number of enterprise organizations that had, these operational tools. And I think similarly from an investment perspective, I invested into certain tools that really made no sense for my business at the scale it was at. And, you talk to your sales executive and they sell you on certain bells and whistles. And I know I just need this. And so I think just understanding what my business needs is not necessarily the same, and looking at where to put, that type of investment to get things going. It's very similar from that, right? Because part of that was online marketing. And so
Yeah,
where to
plus
put it.
HubSpot is so overpowered for what most people need.
Yeah.
You know, there's actually a tool called Follow Up Then, which I haven't tried yet, but apparently can just do email follow up for you like a year after just to like follow up with people. And you can do like if then statements inside of it so that if they click on a link, then it takes it out of the rotation or whatever. So I just want to share that.
Yeah. Cool. I like it. I like it. Well, so talk to us a little bit about what you have been doing most recently and, how people can leverage you to get more government contracts, to win business. Let us know.
Yeah, sure. So no matter where you are when you're listening to this, whether you're in California, Alaska, Guam, wherever, you have an Apex Accelerator in your state. An Apex Accelerator is paid for by the DoD and whatever your local business in your state department is to help you get government contracts for free. So you can just go there, become a client, and get support on that. A lot of people don't know that. Some people are finding it through Reddit, but like, use it. It's a free resource for you. And then I'll also say that right now, what I'm doing is I'm working with the CDEF program, which is the Construction Diversity Equity Fund for Multnomah County. And that will help you with such things as project management support, training and finance tools, as well as like marketing and networking your business to get more government contracts and proposal support as well if you see an RFP and you want to go after it. So, oh, and website stuff too, right? And photography for your website. So it's free for
Awesome.
construction and construction adjacent businesses. So that's how it is right now. It'll be funded for at least the next 2 years. So I highly encourage anyone who's listening who has a business like that to come in. There's plenty of support for you. And if you're in Washington, there is a program called Tabor 100, which will do the same thing. And on top of that, they'll also give you a free laptop. They'll give you free Microsoft 365, free QuickBooks for a year. It's very, very
Wow.
lucrative and good. And most people don't know about these programs. So I'm involved with both of them, but with Tabor, I haven't really done very much. Also, there's another program I'll tell you about called Oregon Metro's, sort of like we have a workshop coming up on June 4th, and it's about teaming to get larger contracts. It simply means partnering up with another company to get contracts and bigger ones. And that's worked for me, and I tell people exactly how I did it, and I give you the exact tools that you can use to do that in this workshop, which is free, paid for by
Mhm.
Oregon Metro. And then Oregon Metro periodically has what's called a proposal writing workshop, which basically you just get on a list and then you get to talk to somebody about how to make a proposal so that when a opportunity comes around, an RFP, RFQ, RFI, so RFP stands for request for proposal, RFQ stands for request for quote, and RFI stands for request for information. So anytime that comes around, you'll be able to respond to it quickly. So that's also a free service that you can get from Oregon Metro, which I think people should take advantage of, and especially if you're a COBID certified business. COBID stands for Certification Office for Business Inclusion and Diversity, and getting your COBID certification can really help you get more contracts with the government. So if you're an emerging small business, like if you make under, I don't know, 1.9 million, you're an emerging small business. So it could literally apply to most small business owners, but also if you're a minority business owner or a woman-owned business or a veteran-owned business as well, you can get certified with the COBID program, and then you can get more contracts.
So these for all construction and construction adjacent, or it?
No, 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 just the CDEF program. Everything else is for everyone.
Got it.
Yes.
Can you give examples of different types of businesses that are able to jump into this and see what type of work is coming out of
Well, I
state
know
and
you're a
local government?
recruiter, Brian,
Yes.
so let's talk about recruiters for a second. So I was
Yeah.
working with a recruiter client a few months ago, and because he is a COBIT certified veteran-owned business, he got approached by a city to do a recruitment for them. They just found him in the database. He
Hmm.
didn't go looking for it. So that's the power of being COBIT certified. And they were really into him being a veteran. And he's like, I can tell. They're really into that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, it's a little weird, but okay, that's great. He doesn't see that as like his main identity.
Yeah. Did he have to respond to an RFP or an RFI,
They
or was
basically
this
sent him
just
an email and said, this is the information we want. Just give us this information. So I basically
very
made a
cool?
template proposal with him as my
Yeah.
client. And then we just kind of went in and we went for it. And then it turned out that his bid was too high. We didn't know that. They didn't give us like a thing to go under basically, but it was a learning opportunity for us. And now he's a template for the next time this happens.
Hmm.
So he actually does recruiting mainly for the construction industry. And so he finds very hard to find people. And that should be properly remunerated. So that's something to consider too, is that sometimes the government's willing to pay what you want and sometimes they're not. And like some agencies are better than others. Like Oregon Metro, I love working with them. I've worked with them since 2018. They asked me to raise my rates last year.
Hmm.
And they just keep asking you to raise your rates and they assume that you're going to raise them every year, at least 4% because of inflation. I don't know any other industry where that is true.
Yeah.
So that's why it's another reason that it's just so powerful to have these contracts, even as just part of your multiple streams of income, that they
Hmm.
just come and go. Like I got a contract last year with Metro to do training, and this year we are actually starting to do it. Like it just took a year for that process to happen. So.
Yeah. You mentioned teaming. Is that relevant to this as well? What is can you explain that?
I'd be happy to. So I actually taught this wrong for years. Another fail.
Yeah.
And so teaming and subcontracting are two different things. So when an RFP comes out, a request for proposals, you might be like, great, I can do this piece, but I can't do this piece. So let's say that you're going to partner with my client who does construction recruitment and you do more tech recruitment, right?
Yep.
Right. So maybe it's for both. Maybe it's for like a little bit of both for that kind of recruitment. And you both could like partner on this and then go get it.
Hmm.
So teaming is just writing the proposal together, saying, we agree to write this proposal together. And you can send a contract saying, once we get the contract, we're going to work together. Or you have NDAs in there, whatever you want, right? In terms of like proprietary, like information, like how much you charge. Maybe you don't want people to know that, right? And then subcontracting is when you actually get the work. And then that I have a separate contract I can give you that's like a template. And this is all in my workshop, which people should come to. And that is just now we're doing the work. Here's how we're going to do it. Here's when we're going to get paid. Here's how we're going to arbitrate if there's disagreements. And here's how we're going to terminate if we need to, basically. So that's
Got
the
it.
difference between teaming and subcontracting, which I didn't always know.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I always imagined it would be like a subcontracting type of arrangement, but that makes a lot of sense, and I
Mhm.
could see that being very relevant in many situations, right? When the projects are so massive, especially. So,
Yeah, you don't do everything, right? Like, so I'm teaming with a person that was my friend named Gloria, and she is doing this continuity planning workshop for leaders in Oregon Metro because they might retire in the next 10, 20 years. And then, I'm helping, but it's mainly her show. It's going to go over 2 days. And I'm like, wow, I never would have gotten this if I hadn't partnered with her.
yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
What's the easiest way for a company, an organization, a person to get started in the certification process to become COVID certified?
Well, if you mainly have Oregon listeners, then I'd say COBIT certification. You go to Oregon number 4biz.diversitysoftware.com. Go there, make an account, look around. Your Apex Accelerator will help you fill that out. That's what they're there for. You don't have to go it alone. Everyone needs a buddy, including me when I first got my certification. Now I'm so fluent with these systems, like, oh yeah, I'm just going to breeze through and do this. You want to have some documents ready to put in there, like your taxes, your driver's license, your resume, articles of organization, which are downloadable from the Secretary of State's website for any business. So some of it's easier to gather than others. Like the ESB is the easiest one. If you're doing the other ones, it's a little bit more involved. But there's also a certification federally anyone can get for a woman-owned business or called a disadvantaged business enterprise. So if you make under 5 million a year, poor you, you're so disadvantaged. So you can get it. And I could too, right? We could get disadvantaged business enterprise certifications, and it actually really makes us better potential partners because that's what people like to see. They're like internal goals are being met with these agencies if they do more business with DBEs, is what they're called. So despite rollbacks around DEI for the federal government at this time, DBE is still there. And I would say that it's important for us to try to get as many certifications as we can to be the most competitive for this work. I'd also just like to say that if you're starting out, go to these networking events. And if you come to my workshop, I'll tell you exactly which ones to go to. You don't want to go to everyone. Like these chamber meetings, not worth your time. You want to go to the meetings where the government people are.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a local Apex Accelerator, they should be able to tell you which ones to go to. But I have a full list inside of my presentation that I share with people. OWAMI is one of them in Oregon. So Oregon Association of Minority Entrepreneurs, OAME.org, has a meeting every last Friday at like 7:30 a.m. Hayden Island Drive. It's kind of early, but it's definitely a place where you can meet people that could potentially give you work. And then if you want to work with construction companies, big construction companies are also there too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so for outside of Oregon, because I do have a lot of variety of listeners, what is it going to the Apex Accelerator website? What does that look like for them?
You basically just Google your state Apex Accelerator and you'll find it. And then from there, all you have to do is just go become a client. It's from the drop-down menu at the top. Click that, fill out a few small things about your business and you and your address, and then they'll assign you someone. The trouble we've been having lately with the Apex is simply that like people with distributed teams are coming and we're like, cool, well, the business is technically in Oregon, but you're in Colorado, and so that's a little bit trickier. So like you should go to the one where you actually physically are if you can, even if you're on a distributed team. But I'd also like to say that when you go to them, you want to say to them, hey, I would like to get federal work, but first I want to focus on state and local and government, and I want to get direct awards and intermediate procurements first. So there's 3 levels of government contracting. Direct awards are up to $25,000. They can just give you the money. And then between $25,000 and $250,000 is intermediate, and they just need to get 3 quotes. That's it. So this is why I tell you go to these events, because I don't know anyone who 100,000 wouldn't be a transformative amount of money for their business.
Right.
And then between, over 250,000 has to go out for a formal procurement, formal RFP. Then all of the websites have it, so your Apex Accelerator will show you which websites to go to. I also have a big list that's going to be in my workshop. For Oregon specifically, every state does it differently. That's the magic of America. So
making it easy.
Pros and cons. We're all little fiefdoms. So yes. I don't know about other states, but I can tell you, and for some of Washington too, I can tell you where to go.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned something about, the state of the political climate, we'll say, how is that impacting things? Are you seeing a change in how projects are being awarded or, to what types of organizations and, what's the pulse there?
Yeah, well, I mean, this administration didn't really take office until January. So even though we saw a decrease in women-owned businesses at the end of 2024 getting work, that could be due to a variety of factors since this administration, again, didn't get in until January.
Right.
So since we're just past the first quarter now and we're moving like through the second quarter pretty quickly, I'd say that we're still seeing effects. We're going to have a wait and see attitude about this, but it seems to be this administration's goal to move fast and break things, to coin the tech phrase, which is a bit unfortunate for a lot of government folks. I want to say that there's a lot of people that are just lost their jobs for no reason and then they're being asked back. And so it seems very wasteful of effort and time and people's stress and lives. And Yeah, all of that stuff. I'll just say that for my clients, what I'm recommending is that they focus on state and local first. And this administration isn't going to last forever. And you may get a federal contract in the next 4 years. It's possible. But I'd prefer people to think local first because that's where you can build relationships the most quickly and easily. You can always go to conferences and try to make people get to know you. And some people I know are doing that. But for me, it feels like lasting relationships happen in person. And I don't really want to tie myself into going to conferences every year because that just seems like, well, if the government is changing up the guard over and over again, who knows if the relationship I make this year is going to be there next year anyway, you know? And
Yeah.
there's other changes they're making with like cybersecurity and so on. I don't want to get too deep in the weeds with that, but I'll just say that like, they're still buying stuff. But I would just focus on local, and our government here in Oregon is pretty focused on, keeping us moving forward. I'll say that.
Yeah. Is there a way to get ahead of different RFPs when they come out? For me, we see, um, some contracts are for 2 years, some contracts are for 5 years, and so even just understanding when upcoming contracts are going to be ending and the renewal process, and so you can build the appropriate rate relationships ahead of time. Is there a way to figure that out? It
Yeah,
seems
yeah,
pretty
I'm happy to
complex.
share with you. So for this state, for Oregon, you want to go to oregonbuys.gov.
Okay.
And Oregon Buys, you can just do a quick search at the top of the page without even logging in and do your keyword there. So for you, it would be recruiting, right? Or maybe it would be a job title, right? As an example. For me, it would be training or marketing or something like that,
Yep.
or coaching. And so you type that in, and then you're going to see a bunch of closed RFPs underneath that. That's perfectly fine because they'll show you how long this contract is expected to go for, who the contact person is, and sometimes even who won it. So what you want to do from there is say, okay, great. So they bought this 4 years ago and now the contract's coming to a close. How can I build a relationship with this person? And this is true for federal as well, to show them that they should consider me the next time around and be on the lookout for my proposal. So that's one way to do it. There's another service called bidlocker.us, which is another way you can go look and see. And they have like they do the whole country. Well, like 3 states right now, it seems like Kentucky, Pennsylvania, and Oregon. So, but Oregon, they have the most stuff in. So that's another one to try. And then aside from that, like, trying to just get like a 15-minute Zoom meeting with people from that would be a really great start just to get your foot in the door. The pre-work around this is huge. And someone who's really emphasizes this in their training and who's really good at this is Josh Frank. So he has the FedRAMP website, but he's also written a book that you can get on Amazon called The Insider's Guide to Government Contracting. And so if you're curious about the pre-work before the contract even comes out, I highly recommend researching and looking for that book. I've actually requested my library buy it because I want more people here to have access to it. I think it's well written. I think it's valuable information. And he's also one of the most dynamic teachers that I've ever heard on government contracting. So it's good. So there's that. And to just get your foot in the door, honestly, is just go to these networking events. The one I mentioned, and there's some other ones as well. The other thing I'd say is like sometimes government advertises the money they're going to spend before the RFP comes out. And so
On these websites, or where are they
on Webs,
advertising?
specifically in Washington, they do it. Webs is the Washington system. It doesn't seem to have a lot of rhyme or reason. Multnomah County is the only one I've seen do it here in Oregon. They have like a Google Doc or something that they've linked on their website that you can see what they plan on buying. But also, you just kind of have to like know people and to see that if, what's coming up. They should have more requirements to list the planned buys that I think than they do. But another way to get your foot in the door is simply to request the winning proposal from the previous person that got the contract that you would have liked to get. That is public information. And as long as you don't abuse it and ask for like 10 or 20 proposals a week or whatever, it should remain free for you. And there is a link that, I can share with people as well for how to request this from Oregon Buys specifically.
Yeah.
But every state has different little places to go find these things. But
Which
you can
makes
also just reach
a
out to
lot
the
of
person
sense
who's
when
the
you're thinking
contact and ask
about.
them for it. Go on, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
oh no, it's okay. I was just gonna say it makes a lot of sense when looking at rate cards and trying to understand where to come in at, and if you're adding 4% or 5%, 4% on top of that, or staying competitive at that specific rate, it just seems like that makes a lot of sense there. So
Mm.
interesting.
Yeah, yeah, you should, I mean, sometimes they can redact parts of the proposal, so if they don't want you to see how much they did,
Got
they
it.
can do that. But I've seen a lot of them that just show you, like,
Yeah.
and sometimes they just actually announce it on Oregon Buys. They'll say, this is how much this contract was for. This is a notice to award. It was a 3-year contract for 150,000 to this person,
Yeah.
or to this group of people.
Right. Yep.
So that's a pro and con of government contracting is that sometimes you're like, great, well, I got this intermediate procurement for 250,000, but I'm one of 3 people on it. And one person got 200,000 and the other two of us got 25 each, which happened to me last year, which I was like, darn, can I actually advocate for more of this pot of money? And it turns out, yes, you can. You can advocate for more of that pot of money if you don't feel like you got enough for what you want to do. Because if it's a 5-year contract, that really isn't very much per year, you
Right.
know?
Interesting. Are there any fun wins that you would like to share of people you've worked with that have won a contract that you maybe changed their business or anything along those lines?
Yeah, like so one of my actually one of my people that I'm coaching right now, he got 2 different grants for his business to get like a truck to like do more junk hauling and stuff like that, which was really
Oh,
cool and I'm so happy for
yeah.
him. And
Amazing.
he's got like swag now. He's got like he does tabling at these events. He's really coming along in his business and he's got a lot of people that want to work for him. So he's doing really well. I'd say one of the people that I worked with last year, we and other thing about government contracting is sometimes it can take a while.
Yeah.
But she and I worked on a contract for her to do like art restoration for the city of Austin, Texas.
Yep.
She's out here in Portland and she got it. So we worked on a proposal together and she got it. So I was very happy. And she's one of like 3 or 4 restorers that they're gonna call, to like help them out with. So yeah, that made me feel really good. I mean, it's an on-call contract, so I don't know how much money it's going to be. But she gave them a quote that they didn't have a problem with. Like it'll be at least 20,000,
Yeah.
So other thing I'll tell you is that for people who have construction equipment like skiddagees and like, earth movers and things like that, they are
Yeah.
in great demand for federal contracts to do fire mitigation, fire like containment because of all the wildfires that keep happening all over the country now.
Yeah.
And so for people that are looking to make a lot of money in government contracting, I'd highly recommend if this is like part of your skill set and you already have the equipment to register with your Apex Accelerator and then get in the Viper database. And VIPR is what it is, and it basically just helps the government uh, use your truck or use your skiddagee or whatever it is, your earth mover, and they'll pay you like $20,000, $30,000 a day to do that. And I mean, they want you someone to come drive the truck and whatever, but like that's not that much money. So the other thing I'll say is that like they also want people who have food trucks to come and feed people. So I'm actually working with a client in Eugene right now who has a food truck who's done this for fire folks. And he's like, wow, I had to get like all of this barbecue ready for like 300 people in like 24 hours and I did it. And I'm like, yay! So even though he's not even in the Viper database, they're like, oh, we know you. Come in, do this. He's doing it. He's
Yeah.
making a ton of money.
Yeah.
And he's like, I want to get more of this. And so we're trying to
Really
figure
cool.
out like how we can get him more of those contracts and like trying to pass them off to people that know about how to do Viper registration now because that's something I don't know how to do.
Right.
So yeah, like it can be extremely lucrative and it can be ongoing income. And like
Yeah.
when I see contracts come through, I'm seeing them like, the federal ones coming through. It's a lot of it is for the fire mitigation stuff and it's obscene amounts of money. Just like
Yeah.
over and over and over again. Like, wow, this person got $1 million. Wow, this person got $2 million. Wow, like I wish this was my skill set sometimes because that would be a lot of great money to have, but
Yeah.
it's not, and I don't want it to be, so let them have it. You know what I
I can
mean?
think of
So
someone. I'm
let
like,
someone else have it.
yeah, that's so cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Anything else that you would love to share about your background, your coaching, how you're working with people and organizations that you think would be just valuable for people to know and so they can reach out and find you and
Sure. Yeah. I mean, if you're in Oregon, there are resources for you where I can help you for free. And if people want to check out more about me, go to mazarinetreyz.com. Check that out. If you want to see my government page, it's mazarinetreyz.com/government. But apart from that, I do workshops with Metro at least once or twice or 3 times a year. So get on Metro's email list and I can put out a link for that as well in the show notes. But Yeah, I love working with folks and helping them feel like this is possible for them and that they don't have to struggle so much anymore and that it may take a little while, but they're going to get there. Yeah, like my background is I'm just basically an encourager. I love encouraging people. And I feel like the more people know about how lucrative government contracting can be, the more likely they are to succeed if they can just have the right people around them that want to support them to do that. And that's why Apex accelerators are there. And that's why these other programs that I've mentioned are there, like Tabor 100 for Washington, the CDEF program for Oregon, the Metro Proposal Writing Workshop for Oregon. And there's other organizations as well, like NAMAC, National Association of Minority Contractors is another one. Um, and most of these people will help you for free. I'm also involved in like WeBank, which is the Women Business Enterprise Council nationally, and Entreprenista as well. So if you're a woman-owned business, check those out. They have a lot of resources too. And can't say enough good things about how government contracting has sustained and grown my business. And I just want to teach you how to do it.
I love this. Well, thank you so much. I think what you do is so important, and it sounds like you really are helping a lot of people. And I love local, and I love communities. So I think that's fantastic. And thank you for coming on. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Me too.
And everyone, make sure to go check her out. Sign up for her upcoming webinar. It will be in the show notes for you to check out. And
June
Mazarine,
4th,
anything
12
else?
o'clock.
Say it again.
June 4th, 12 o'clock.
June 4th, 12 o'clock.
PT.
Be there.
Yes, be there.
Be there. Awesome. All right. See you later.